Welcome back to the Check Down with Fox and Larry. I'm your host, Larry.
And I'm your host, Fox.
This is episode 3. We're going to be giving you a 2021 NFL preview, AFC edition. Our last episode, we did the same thing, but we did the NFC edition. Our first episode, make sure to check out if you haven't done your fantasy drafts yet. Our first episode is all about fantasy football, giving you our sleepers, our bust, our, breakout candidates, or draft strategy. So check that out if you haven't yet. Last episode, if you haven't checked that out, like I said, that was AFC edition. Similar episode of what we're doing today, just AFC. So right before we get into, oops, I misspoke. Today is all about AFC. Last episode is NFC. So before we get into that, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Drop a like to help us grow this channel so we can keep giving you some content, but also reach more people to help us grow. And let's drop your feedback in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. And that's pretty much it. Let's get started. We'll start with the AFC South. We'll start talking about the reigning division champs, the Tennessee Titans. They were 11-5 last year. They got knocked out in the wild card round by the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, they had the big addition of Julio Jones. They lost Corey Davis, but instantly replaced him with Julio Jones. So arguably a better wide receiver duo, even though Julio Jones is on the later side of 30. They have one of the best wide receiver duos with A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill really, broke out last year. They really let him throw the ball a lot more, and he was really effective doing so. Obviously, they have a workhorse in Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the league. They're another team. Especially that it's a really weak division, especially with the uncertainty with the Colts quarterback. They have high expectations again this year. Just looking at their depth chart, they have a really solid offense because of their big three weapons in Derrick Brown, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and obviously led by quarterback Ryan Tannehill. It's really solid offensive line. Defense, they really struggled last year. It's part of the reason why they didn't have a deep playoff run and why they got knocked out in the first round. They added to their secondary in the first round. They added Caleb Farley, but he's a little bit of a risk coming out of Virginia Tech because he had a season-ending injury at Virginia Tech. So they were able to get him later than he would have went if he wasn't injured. So he's still a promising young prospect, but might see a little bit of a slow growth period here as he gets adjusted into the NFL game after not playing a lot this last college season. Besides him, they added Bud Dupree, so they get a better edge rusher. They have Harold Landry, who's a good edge rusher, but he's going to be out, I believe, to start the season. Jeffrey Simmons, who's a solid player. But besides those guys, they don't really have too much talent on defense, and they might have another down year defensively, but we'll see. A couple years ago they had a really strong defense, so maybe they can get back to what they were.
Yeah, definitely. And biggest thing with this team is we know the offense is really good. They're going to be one of the best in the league, especially when you have King Henry in the backfield. But the defense is the biggest question, like you said. So we'll see what happens with the Titans. Expectations for them. I definitely think they can win this division just because of how weak it is. Can they make a run in the playoffs if they get there? I don't know. Probably not, just because the AFC is so loaded. But we'll see what happens with the Titans. Definitely a good team. They have a good coach. I like Vrabel, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, 2 years ago in the postseason, they were like the Cinderella team. Derrick Henry was literally carrying them to victory in the first 2 rounds, but they couldn't get it done against the Chiefs in the championship round. But, they ended Tom Brady's career in New England, knocking them out. They knocked out.
It was a huge upset.
Yeah. Who did they beat in the first round? I think they beat the Ravens, right?
They
it was the Ravens, and then they beat the Patriots.
They beat the Patriots first, then they beat the Ravens.
Really?
Yeah, it was the Patriots in the wild card. Yep. I'll make sure just to check, but
I think it's the other way. But yeah, obviously we all know how Brady's career ended in New England off a pick six. Do you remember who got that pick six?
Logan Ryan, right?
Yep, Logan Ryan.
Right.
But yeah, they were that Cinderella team, and the crazy thing was that postseason, Tannehill was literally throwing the ball about 10 times a game, and Derrick Henry was getting the ball every time. And their offensive line was so good that they were able to just will their running game on their opponent, and their defense was really solid, and they went on that Cinderella run, but they couldn't beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, they beat the Patriots first, then the Ravens, and they lost to the Chiefs.
Oh, wow. Oh, right, because the Ravens had the bye.
Yep.
The Ravens were the 1 seed that year. Yep. Lamar Jackson's MVP seed. But yeah, and that was the crazy thing. So, and then after that, Tannehill last year, you want to pull up Tannehill's stats last year?
Yeah, I'll do
I,
that.
I know because he went off this year, and everyone I was surprised by it because of how they really used him, in the first year, and especially in the postseason. Just he was literally throwing the ball like 10 times a game, and that's just like it was unheard of. But they had so much success with Henry, and they kept going to it.
Yeah, so last year in 16 games started, they went 11-5. He had a 65 completion percentage, 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, only 7 picks, QBR of 106. So yeah, solid year.
Yeah, and compared, do you have his stats from the year prior to that?
Yeah,
20.
the year before that he was hurt for half of it, so he only
He
played
wasn't
10
hurt.
games.
He wasn't starting. Mariota was the
That's
starter.
right, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking of something else. But yeah, I mean, he came in and had 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, and a QBR of 117. So he came in and did great. So
Yeah, he's been like maybe Sam Darnold follows him as one of those quarterbacks who just wasn't good with Adam Gase and
dude, he
just
was
needed a new
good in
system.
Miami. Like I'm looking at his Miami stats. It wasn't terrible. Like
They
he
made
got his interceptions down. Like they were in double digits, but they weren't like super high. Like he had 12 3 years in a row from 2014 to 2016, and then like every year he's actually threw less picks every
they
year.
made they made the playoffs. Him and Adam Gase. I think Adam
I
Gase's
remember they
first
lost
year
to
with
the
the
Steelers.
Dolphins. Yeah,
I remember that.
but yeah, Adam Gase. But that's it.
Terrible.
Let's go talk about the Colts now. The Colts were 11-5 last year, same record as the Titans, but they didn't have the tiebreaker over them, so they finished second. They got knocked out by the Bills in the first round of the playoffs. Philip Rivers is gone, not officially retired, but he's most likely gone.
Listen, that guy loves coaching high school football.
Dude, he's 1-0.
Great to see it. It's good to
He's
see it.
undefeated.
Yeah.
We both talked about it, though. We were ready to see Philip Rivers retire, though. We were
Yeah. I never hated the guy. Like I like Philip Rivers. I
nah.
just,
I
you
just
know,
it
he
was
was
time.
he was one of those he just he couldn't win in the big game. I mean, he had good teams at points of his career, but I don't know, they were just a team that could never get it done, and he couldn't get it done, you know?
Yeah. Well, he also threw pretty weird, so I was not a fan of watching him play the quarterback
Sidearm
position.
sidearm quarterback.
Yeah. I don't think he even gripped the laces.
I have no idea. All I know is the weirdest throw in the league.
Yeah, well, they replaced him with Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz is dealing with injuries right now. He's also has COVID, so he might not be ready to go for Week 1. We'll see what happens there. They have Jacob Eason backing him up, rookie out of not rookie, second-year guy out of Washington. He was originally from Georgia, lost his job to Jake Fromm, but they got him out of Washington last draft, so it was his second year, and he's a little promising quarterback prospect, but obviously they would rather go into the season with Carson Wentz. Hopefully they can, rebound, like rejuvenate Carson Wentz's career. The most success he had was with Frank Wright in Philadelphia when Frank Wright was offensive coordinator there. Obviously, Frank Wright's the head coach of the Colts now, so they have that connection. Maybe Carson Wentz can get back to that former, MVP caliber player, which he was. I know you don't really like Carson Wentz.
Nope. He hasn't been good since 2017. Was that like the last time he actually had like MVP talks? I mean, I know he's battled injuries, but listen, he has the tools. He just never puts it together.
I think 2017 was his rookie season, which he
So
did
the
good.
one of those
And then
years he had like
2018 was
really
his
good
like
years.
MVP. 2018 when they won the Super Bowl, that was like when he was probably going to win the MVP if he didn't tear his ACL. And then the last couple seasons have been rough for him, but injuries and whatnot, and losing his offensive coordinator after the 2018 season, that might have hurt him. So now he's back with him. Hopefully we can see him healthy and see what he can do. The Colts, their defense really kept them, in every game last year. Their offense was solid. Jonathan Taylor looked really good last year, rookie out of Wisconsin. Now it's his second year. They got Marlon Mack back, so they have a really good running back room also with Nyheim Hines. I know you love Nyheim Hines. So they have a really solid defense, really solid offense potentially if Wentz is healthy. I think Wentz does have a good bounce back season. I think they do have high expectations, but it's going to be if they're going to be healthy because Quentin Nelson's also dealing with the same injury Carson Wentz is dealing with. They need both of those guys healthy on offense if they want to put up points.
Yeah, this is another team. They can win the division. It's not a good division, so definitely up for grabs for them. They're definitely the best defense in this division, which we know defense, You want to have a really good defense more than probably good offense. So that's going to help them. Yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of it. This is definitely it's going to be an interesting team. There's a lot of question marks, especially on offense, just because we don't know what Wentz is going to do. We don't know if Wentz is going to return to how he was when he was with Philly in his earlier years. So we'll see what happens. Young receiving crew. I think Michael Pittman's actually a guy to look out for. I think he could have a breakout year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and T.Y. Hilton starting the season on the IR. Really solid offensive line led by Quentin Nelson. Obviously, he's banged up a little bit, but he should be good to go by week 1. And then defensively, they drafted Kwity Paye out of Michigan this year. So hopefully, he gets some help on the edge. They got DeForest Buckner, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Obviously, Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers, if not the best linebacker in the NFL. Kenny Moore is really good. Yeah. Xavier Rhodes, Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin. So they have a really solid defense. It's going to be if they're going to be healthy on offense this year, and we'll see what they can get out of Wentz. So, but yeah, they have high expectations coming off an 11-5 season, and high expectations, division champion expectations. Let's talk about the Texans. It's pretty much a disaster there right now. Nobody knows really what's going on with Deshaun Watson. They're coming off a 4-12 season. That was good for 3rd place last year. Watson had a great year last year, but now everything off the field with all his, sexual harassment allegations, sexual assault allegations. Nobody really knows what his future holds, but it's most likely going to mean for him that he probably won't play this year. Either it's going to be a full season suspension or however many game suspension, and he's probably going to be traded elsewhere. And the Texans are going to get a lot of assets for him, a lot of draft picks for him. He's a top 5 quarterback when he plays. Very talented quarterback. There's going to be teams interested in him despite everything that is going on off the field. So expect him to get traded. I mean, he could get traded before the season starts. He could get traded in the middle of the season before the deadline, or he can get traded in the offseason. It all depends. I think what teams are looking for is how the NFL is going to punish him, and that's going to decide when teams are going to make a move for him. But besides that, I mean, they brought in David Coley as a new head coach. He was with the Ravens as a wide receiver coach. They brought in a new front office guy. He from the Patriots. I can't remember his name, but they obviously let go of Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was like Bill Belichick. He controlled everything. He was the GM as well as the head coach. So totally new organization now, new era.
It's really crazy to think that they were just in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Dude, they were but they were perennial playoff team with Bill O'Brien.
They beat the Bills. Remember that? They beat the Bills. Deshaun Watson had that crazy end of the game where he went off.
Yeah,
remember he took that hit? Well, he actually didn't take the hit. He broke the tackle.
He broke the tackle. Yeah. But you remember who was quarterback for the Bills then?
Can't be Josh Allen. So
it was Nathan Peterman.
Oh my God.
Remember he came in and threw like 3-4 interceptions?
Yeah, he's horrible, and he's still on the Raiders.
I remember. Yeah, that game was crazy. He had so many opportunities to win the game. No, actually, that was Josh Allen at quarterback that game. The year before that, I think they also got that game. Yeah, because now I remember that game when he made that crazy escape the sack.
Well, dude, Josh Allen wasn't good till last year.
Josh Allen really struggled that game. Like he had opportunities to win the game late in the game, but he just couldn't do it. But I remember a year or two before that, Nathan Peterman had to come in for the Bills because Tyrod Taylor got injured, and Peterman totally shanked it. And they had opportunities too, and they just couldn't get it done. Peterman threw 3-4 interceptions, it was a mess.
Yeah. But with the Texans, a lot of guys on this team, it's an ugly roster. There's nobody really good. The guys that pop out to me, I like Justin Reed, free safety on the defense. He's solid. He's a young player. I think he could be pretty good. But other than that, I mean, it's definitely an ugly roster. Laramie Tunsil's good. We know that. Their running back group is old. Mark Ingram, David Johnson. Philip Lindsay's not a number 1. I know some people like him. I don't get it. I don't get the hype on that. So it's definitely an ugly roster. We expect them to be bottom 3 in the league by the end of the year.
Dude, also Rex Burkhead is their 4th string. So it's a weird running back committee. They're all guys that are definitely past their prime. The only relatively young guy is Philip Lindsay, but who knows? Who knows who's going to be getting the bulk of the workload there? I see Ingram as their number 1 back this year, but we'll see how they work everyone in there. I'm sure everyone's going to get touches. But they
Dude,
have
it's crazy.
Whitney.
David Johnson a few years ago was the best. He was the best dual threat guy. The guy literally could catch and run, and now he's just
Yeah,
it's crazy. They fall
he
off
was
these guys.
he was a beast. But I mean, defensively, they were one of the worst defenses last year. They'll be one of the worst defenses again this year. It's going to be a rough year for them. There's people putting bets on them going 0-17, so they obviously have very low expectations. They're going to have a high draft pick and expect Watson to be moved. Expect them to bring in a new franchise guy, and it's going to be a new era of Houston Texans football, but it's going to be a really brutal year. So sorry for all those Texans fans out there this year. So let's get into the worst team in the league last year, worst team in the AFC South, worst team overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were 1-15 last year. They lost their last 15 games after upsetting the Colts in week 1. Got the number 1 pick, used it on Trevor Lawrence, brought in Urban Meyer. Totally different era there in Jacksonville. They're starting their rebuild, and some people think that it can be a quick turnaround. Some people think it's going to take a couple years. I don't have high expectations for them this year. I think it's going to be an adjustment period for the coaching staff, because most of them are, college guys led by Urban Meyer, and then bringing in Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's really in the best situation. They have some guys around him. ETN, obviously, they've drafted in the first round with him. He's out for the season. He tore his ACL, and he'll miss the whole season.
The James Robinson's good.
James Robinson's good. They brought in Carlos Hyde, so they still have decent backs. Their offensive line isn't great. Watching Trevor Lawrence in the preseason, he was under pressure every time he stepped back, so you don't really want to see that for a young quarterback in his first year. Weapons, they got Chark. They have Shenault. They have Marvin Jones Jr.
I like it.
It's not terrible. They're definitely young receivers besides Marvin Jones. Obviously, he's that vet there, but I think they're gonna run into a lot of growing pains offensively. Defensively, they have a couple guys. Josh Allen, he's a beast. Miles Jack, he's a beast. But I don't think they're a good team. They had the number 1 pick for a reason. It's not just they're gonna go from worst to first just like that. Even though Trevor Lawrence is legit, he's one of the best college football prospects of all time, the best since Andrew Luck. So. And he looks good. It's not going to be on him, but it's going to take a while. I feel like at least a couple of years for Jacksonville to get back up there, because it wasn't too long ago when Blake Bortles was there and they were
well, their
the Cinderella team of
amazing. Their defense was like they were getting sacks left and right. They led the league in sacks.
Yeah, but dude, you remember like Leonard Fournette was young and he was good. Allen Hurns was a beast there. Who else was that receiver that they had?
Didn't they have Allen Robinson?
Was it Allen Robinson? I was gonna say
I know he tore his ACL the one year.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, they were in the playoffs with Blake Bortles. They did they upset the Patriots?
No, they lost. That's when they
They
lost
lost?
the AFC Championship. They lost.
Yeah, they lost. They lost in the championship game. But they made it to the championship game. Yeah, they lost to the Patriots.
Dude, Jalen Ramsey was there.
Yeah, dude, Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell was there.
Didn't they have Ngakoue? Yannick Ngakoue?
Yeah, Ngakoue.
I don't know how to say his name.
Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah, I don't want to butcher his name.
He's on the Raiders now. Yeah, but he was there. Dude, they had so many. AJ Boye.
Dude, they were a good team, man. That's like crazy how good they were.
Yeah, and they just traded them all away. Like they just got rid of them all. They got good value for. Some they just literally just gave them away.
Listen, I like the Jaguars. I do. I've never, had anything against them. I think because I really think this is going to be the worst division in football. If I'm going to make a prediction on that, I think it's the AFC South, not the NFC East this year. So they're a young team. We'll see what Trevor Lawrence can do. I actually think he's going to do really good because everybody expects it. I like their receiving core. You guys here on my fantasy podcast. I like Laviska Shenault. I like DJ Chark. So we'll see what happens. They could steal. They could beat the Texans twice. They could steal a game from like the Titans. I mean, the Titans defense is nothing special, so maybe they get into a shootout or something. They could take a win. I like the Jaguars. They're a young team. We'll see what Urban Meyer can do in his first year, but expectations just do better than last year because you can't do worse than that, right?
Yeah, but are you giving them? You're giving them a shot to win the division. You're expecting them to, be in division contention.
I did because originally we didn't know. We'll go on our predictions to show and talk about it.
Yeah, but what are your expectations? Your expectations are high if you think they could, compete for the division.
My expectation is no, I wouldn't say division. Nah, but they'll be
All
better.
right, so they'll be better than one win. So no, I have low expectations for them. I don't think they're going to be a good team. I think they, I put their cap at around 5-6 wins this year. I just think it's going to be an adjustment period. It's not a bad thing. It's just they were the worst team last year, so they're going to be better.
They'll
So
have high draft picks for next year, so we'll
yeah,
see.
and they get ETN back next year. They can continue rebuilding. They're gonna preach patience, but they have their guy in Trevor Lawrence, and I'm excited to watch him play. But all right, that'll do it for the AFC South. Let's head over to the AFC North.
Oof, big division.
We'll start with the reigning division champs, like we did with the AFC South. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were 12-4 last year, but they started what 10-0, 11-0 before they got
11 and
their
0, I
first
think.
11-0 last year before they got their first loss, and
Who was the
obviously
first loss? I forgot.
I think Bengals.
No, was it? Yeah, I think it was because they were
Yeah,
TikTok
I think it
kids.
was it
Remember
was a
that?
Monday. I think it was a Monday night game against the Bengals, and the
All
Bengals
right.
smacked them.
They were doing the TikToks on the logo, and then they ended up losing.
Yeah, Juju. He's still doing it. He's still doing his TikToks.
Claypool does his TikToks too. Both of them.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know. And though
I don't hate
it's
on him
it's
for it.
Juju, it's Claypool, it's even the guy Duck Hodges. He's in on that with them.
Yeah.
But dude, that's fine. They do their thing. They have fun. They're young receivers. And then Big Ben's like, "What the hell are these guys doing on TikTok, dude? I'm trying to just win a playoff game before I retire."
For
Well,
real.
yeah, the Steelers were 12-4 last year. They struggled at the end. They got demolished and knocked out of the playoffs in the first round by the Browns. Um, that was a bloodbath. So, going into this season, they really rebuilt their offensive line. They really want to run the ball. They drafted Najee Harris in the first round. He's going to run the ball probably 25, 30 times a game. They don't want to rely on Big Ben anymore. It's not that Big Ben isn't great anymore or good anymore. It's just that he's old and they don't want him throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game like they have been in previous years. They want to really rely on the running game. That's Steelers
Yeah,
football, and they want to play ground and pound.
that should be any team. If you're gonna win and be successful in this league, you got to be able to run the football. You look at the teams who have won the Super Bowl the last few years; they've been able to run the football. That's key. So you can't be throwing the football around the whole game and think you're gonna end up winning. I mean, look what happened to them; they lost. So
Yeah,
got to have that running game. And I think Najee Harris was a great draft pick. I think he could do really good. I think he will.
yeah, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good right away. It's gonna be a different offensive line than we're used to. David DeCastro is not there
Yeah, I don't
anymore.
even know. I'm looking at their offensive line right now. I don't know any of these guys. Like
Yeah,
I know Trey Turner. That's like,
mhm,
who are these other guys? It's crazy. They're completely new. There's no more Villanueva. There's no more Pouncey. These guys are
mhm.
just completely new.
Yeah, and they got Creed Humphrey, right?
I
No,
don't
Creed
see him
Humphrey's
on
on
here.
the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
he's not on here. Yeah.
He got drafted by the Chiefs, but they have
They drafted Dan Moore and Kendrick Green. Those are their two rookies on the
yeah.
line.
So yeah, but these guys, from what I know of them, this offensive line, it's just run, run, run. They're gonna really, open up the gas for Najee Harris, and they're gonna ground and pound, and they're gonna play good defense because we all know they have one of the best defense, if not the best defense in the league, led by T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick.
His
Um,
defense is loaded. It's
yeah,
very good.
it's a loaded defense. So
Terrell
and
Edmonds.
it's gonna be a very like difficult division to win, but I have high expectations for the Steelers. I really do. A lot of people are sleeping on them because of how their season ended last year, and I know they had a really easy schedule before like the last few games last season, and people are saying that's why they went 10 and started 11-0 or whatever they did. But they're
Well,
the
I
pick.
hate to tell you, they actually have the hardest schedule.
Yeah, they have the hardest schedule because they have to play the Steelers. I mean, they have to play the Browns and the Ravens twice a year. Those are great teams. But I do have high expectations because I do think they have a hard schedule, yeah, but they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whoever's playing them has a tough game too. You know what I mean? So you can look at that two ways. But I have high expectations for them. I don't think they're good enough to win the division, but that defense is definitely good enough to make the playoffs as a wild card team without a doubt. And I'm excited to see how they do offensively this year with, their revamped offensive line and their, rookie running back.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. A lot of people are sleeping on them, and that's just because the division's tough. I mean, this can go three ways. It's either going to be Ravens, Browns, or Steelers. Everybody knows that, and they're voice crack. Their
Back-to-back
defense,
episodes with the voice crack.
back-to-back episode, dude. I just hit puberty like last week, but yeah, this defense is loaded. Arguably the best in the division. I know there's a lot of argument over that, whether it's them, the Browns, or the Ravens. It's gonna be a fun division. But yeah, I agree with you. Steelers probably not division, but definitely wild card aspirations for sure. They don't make the wild card. That's a huge disappointment for them. When you have a defense like this and you're not making the playoffs, disappointment with 100%.
Guess how old Mike Tomlin is?
Mike Tomlin, how old is he? I'm gonna say he is 55.
Dude, he's 49 years old.
Wow, he's young, dude. He's
Dude,
young.
he's been there forever.
Dude, he could be coaching for the next 20 years.
Dude, he might.
without a doubt.
Dude, he can definitely coach until he's 70. Dude, he'll be there. How long has he been with the Steelers?
Probably since like 07, because I know before that it was Cowher, right? Bill Cowher was coach before that.
All right. 14 years as head coach.
Yeah.
Dude,
Dude.
He's
And
49.
why replace him when you're good every year? The Steelers are good every year.
I think there's a reason why teams do it, because you don't want to get stuck into like the same old habits, and you might need to change things up, especially as the league adapts. If the head coach doesn't adapt, then you can like kind of fall behind there. I mean, we see it in baseball. Like the Yankees always replace their manager no matter what after 10 years. For whatever reason, they have their reasons, and the Yankees are consistent winners. But dude, he's been there for 14 years. I know he just signed a contract extension, so he's going to be there at least for 17 years. But dude, he might be there, we're talking over 30 years when it's all said and done. That's insane. But
yeah,
he's had a winning record every season.
No, when Roethlisberger was out for the year, they didn't make it. Remember when Rudolph was a quarterback?
But did they finish under 500?
I think they were 8-8.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever finished under 500.
Maybe.
That's insane, dude. That's crazy. But dude, he's a career his career record is 153-86. Awesome. Including postseason. Regular season he's 145-78. Insane, dude. He's yeah, I can't see anyone else coaching that team. Like, it's crazy. And I can't see him going anywhere else. Like, he's one of those guys, he's gonna get fired or whatever, just like leave, and he's gonna go and work on CBS or Fox.
Yeah, he went 8-8 in 2019, 2013, 2012. I have not seen them. Steelers have not been under 500 since, let's check. I'm going down the line, since 2003.
Dude, what's their over under? I know we're not doing predictions until next week, but I'm interested to see what their over under is, because I'm not taking them to go under 500.
Their over under is 9.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. How can you set an over under at like 8.5? Like that would be perfect, like 8.5, because they're either gonna go over or under 500.
Yeah, dude. Before Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher was the coach since 1992. Dude, yeah. So they literally run these coaches for years.
Yeah, they've only had a few coaches in franchise history. Would they have the guy Chuck Noll there, right? He was there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, this is only going to. Oh no, it goes further. Time out. Yeah, they had Noll from 1969 to 1991.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy, man. It's like nuts.
But dude, I like that though, and they've had success with all of them.
Dude, the amount of times they finished first place in the division is like insane. I'm looking at it right now.
We all know it's the Steelers, it's the Patriots, it's the Cowboys, it's the 49ers. Those are like the most storied, most winningest football franchises.
You shouldn't even put the Cowboys in there. They suck.
Dude, you're just
dude, they haven't been good since the 90s, bro.
But they're always competitive. It's not like they suck.
Dude, the last time the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl, that cheerleader right now is like in a nursing home, bro.
Oh, okay. We talked about the NFC yesterday. We're talking AFC now. All right. We talked about the Steelers for a while. I wasn't expecting to go on a Mike Tomlin tangent there. I just asked you how old he was.
Yeah, we spent more time on the Steelers than any team, surprisingly.
All right.
I can't wait till we do the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets.
We'll be on them for
AFC East is last today.
All right, we got Ravens.
The Jets are actually going to be the last team we talked about today. Yeah, we're going to the Ravens now. They finished 11-5 last year. They got knocked out in the second round to the Bills. Last year in the divisional round, Lamar Jackson got his first playoff win against the Titans last year. He got his revenge, but couldn't get it done in round 2 to get to the title game. So They're at the same expectations. They really wanted to, upgrade wide receiver this offseason. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get it done for free agency. They brought in Rashad Bateman through the draft, and he's out for the season. Right? He's out for the season.
Bateman, Rashad Bateman. I don't know. Is he out for? I know he's hurt.
He's.
But I
I
don't
know
know.
he's on the IR, but really all they did in this offseason to upgrade wide receiver for Lamar Jackson was bringing Sammy Watkins. I mean, he's fine, but he's not, a top threat. They still got Hollywood Brown, Devin Duvernay, second-year guy.
Boykin and Bateman will miss at least 3 weeks. That's the minimum.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought Bateman was out for a little longer, but that's fine. They upgraded. They got rid of Orlando Brown, traded him to the Chiefs. They brought in Ronnie Stanley for left tackle and on Alejandro Villanueva at right tackle. So they still have a good offensive line. They're going to be able to run the ball. They lost J.K. Dobbins for the year, ACL injury, so Gus Edwards is going to be their main back, and Justice Hill will back him up. It's going to be a good offense. They're going to be able to run the ball. Lamar Jackson is probably the best dual threat quarterback in the league. I'm not really a fan of him throwing the ball, but he's a threat running the ball every time he takes off. Defense, their defense is sick. Patrick Queen, second-year linebacker. He was great last year as a rookie. Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe up front, Brandon Williams in the middle. It's really tough to run on them, but it's also really tough to throw on him as they have Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and Jimmy Smith back there in their secondary. So
you think that's the best corner duo in the league?
Yeah. Without really thinking about it too much, I would definitely take Humphrey and Peters.
Dude, this division has so many good defenses. It's gonna be must-watch football. Any division game in this division is must-watch football. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's probably my favorite division. I love AFC North football, dude. It's just hard-nosed football.
Dude, the rivalries, dude. Ravens Steelers, I mean, that's like historic, bro. That's every year. That's must-watch football. Those fans hate each other, man. I bet you there's a statistic on the fan fights between Steelers and Raven games. It's probably insane. But yeah, expectations for the Ravens. I put Super Bowl aspiration on them. I do. I think this is a team that can go to the Super Bowl and win. You just got to get past the big dogs like the Chiefs and the Browns and the Steelers. They can do it. That's my aspirations for the Ravens. They can go to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah, they definitely have Super Bowl expectations. They definitely have very high expectations. So yeah, I don't think they do it. I really don't think they do it. I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl. I think maybe they win another playoff game.
Save that. Save your predictions.
I'll save my predictions. But you said you think they go into the Super Bowl. You said that.
I'm just saying aspirations. I didn't say they're going to do it. I said they could go to the Super Bowl.
Expectations. Yeah, I'm not giving that. I don't think they have Super Bowl. Like, I don't expect them to go to the Super Bowl. I expect them to make the postseason without a doubt with that defense, and their offense should be good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, high expectations for the Ravens. Now let's talk about the Browns. 11-5 last year, third place. They beat the Steelers round 1 last year in the postseason. Lost to the Chiefs in the postseason last year. That was a really devastating loss. They had their chances to win. They had that fumble, Rashard Higgins going into halftime when Sorensen put his helmet down with the crown and fumbled, and Higgins ended up fumbling the ball as he was reaching for the end zone. He fumbled it out of the end zone, and that led to obviously a touchback for the Chiefs, and that was pretty much the deciding factor in that game. The Browns just weren't able to, really get themselves back into it. Even late in the game, Chad Henne had to take over from Mahomes as he had to go into concussion protocol, and he didn't return. But yeah, the Browns, what they were weak on last year was defense, and what they did in the offseason was revamped it completely. They have a legit defense now to go with one of the most lethal offenses in the league. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney to put him opposite side of Myles Garrett, which is ridiculous. They brought in John Johnson for the secondary. They brought in Troy Hill, who's a good nickel cornerback. They drafted Greg Newsome in the first round. They got Greedy Williams coming back this year from injury. They got Grant Delpit coming back this year from injury. Dude, their defense is loaded. I have very high expectations, Super Bowl expectations for the Cleveland Browns. Who would have thought?
What a homer.
Homer? What do you mean?
Dude, you love Baker Mayfield.
He's my favorite quarterback. I didn't even talk about him. All I'm talking about is the defense.
Yeah, but it's subliminal. It's in your head. It's there.
Dude, Baker Mayfield is
Listen, I won't lie to you. This team is very good on paper. I don't know why. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney has not shown much, so I don't know why you're so hyped about him. Yeah, he was great in college.
Because his entire career he's been double teamed. Now he has to play alongside Myles Garrett. He doesn't have to get double teamed anymore.
We'll see what happens with that. I don't know. I'm not too hype about it. Like, I'm more hype about John Johnson than him. So,
How are you more hyped about a cornerback than an edge rusher?
well, John Johnson's a safety. So get it right first.
Well, he played
And then
both with the
he,
Rams. He played both with the Rams.
well, he's not gonna play corner with Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward there.
He could. I don't. He's gonna play all over. He's a Swiss Army knife back there in the secondary. He's good wherever you can put him.
Well, we'll see. But my expectations for the Browns, I do agree with you. I will say they can go to the Super Bowl as well. So I do have Super Bowl expectations for the
You
Browns.
call me a homer, and you're giving them Super Bowl expectations. Get
Because
out of
this
here,
favoritism, this
dude. Their
favoritism.
defense is
You
ridiculous.
didn't even bring up their O-line. Their O-line might be one of the best in the league too. So when you have
Because I
Nick
said they had
Chubb,
an elite offense last year, and I said all they wanted to do was focus on their defense, and they did. And they brought in guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Malik Jackson. They brought in Anthony Walker. They drafted Greg Newsome. They're getting Greedy Williams and Grant Dilpit back from injury last year. Their defense is very, very good. They're going to be, in my opinion, this is a top 5 defense to go with a top 5 offense. That's, we'll talk about the offensive line right now, dude. Jedrick Wills was a steal last year in the first round. Not a steal, but, he was, they drafted him very early, and it turned out to be a great pick. He's a great left tackle. Joel Petonio, J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. Elite offensive line. They're going to be able to run the ball at will with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield, he's my favorite quarterback, but I'm not even saying this because I'm biased to him. He's, I look at him as potential MVP candidate this year just because, Odell's coming back from injury. I think Odell is going to have a bounce back season. He has Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, second-year guy out of Michigan. He has weapons to go with, and then tight end, Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant. Odell Beckham is in a great situation. I think if he can win this division and put up good numbers, he's definitely a top 5, top 3 MVP candidate this year.
Okay. We can move on to the
Dude,
next
but
team.
don't say that like I'm crazy,
That's
because
terrible.
you say crazy things all the time. Like I say Baker Mayfield's an MVP candidate, which is very realistic,
There
and you
is
think it's nuts.
so much competition that he has to deal with. It's not happening.
Why? If they're one of the best teams in the league and he's quarterback of one of the best teams in the league, after week 7 last year, he was the number 1 passer in the league.
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, that's facts. And prior to that, he was dealing with one of the worst weather conditions for a straight month. So he wasn't passing the ball efficiently because of the weather. But before that, he was still doing good. Dude, if he takes the Cleveland Browns to the Super Bowl, and if he can win the division this year and he can put up good numbers like over 30 touchdowns, under 10 interceptions, which he could, he's a very accurate passer. If he goes over 65% completion, close to 70, dude, he's the MVP.
He's not even the best quarterback in the division.
Who's better than him?
Lamar Jackson's better than him.
He's probably Lamar Jackson's more dynamic because he can run, but
Yeah,
if we're taking that out of consideration, Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback in the division.
Joe Burrow might be better than him. We don't even know.
I don't think so.
We'll see.
He could be. I don't think so.
We'll see.
Baker Mayfield, MVP candidate. Not saying he's going to win MVP, but he's a very realistic MVP candidate. If the Browns win the division, he puts up good numbers, he's MVP.
It's a lot of competition. We'll see.
Obviously, he's going to be competing with Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes.
Josh Allen,
yeah. But Baker Mayfield is also right there.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's go and talk about the Bengals. Just talking about Joe Burrow. They were 4-11 last year. They lost Joe Burrow pretty early into the season. I don't remember exactly how long into the season, but I remember it being pretty early. He tore his ACL, but he's back this year. He's starting week 1 for them, so he's ready to go this year. His second year at LSU.
It was the day I picked you up from the airport. Remember that?
Oh, so it was around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like a week before Thanksgiving. So
I remember because I was at my cousin's house watching Joe Burrow get his leg blown out, and I was just sitting on the couch like, wow, that sucks. That was bad.
Was it Chase Young?
Yeah, it was Chase Young. Dude, the whole Washington line caved in and just killed his leg.
Yeah. Well, dude, low expectations for the Bengals this year. I do think that they're gonna be better than last year, or pretty similar to it, or 4, 5, 6 wins. That's probably what they'll do this year. Low expectations. I don't see them competing for the playoffs. I don't see them doing much in divisional games with the Steelers. They really, this offseason they really focused on the wrong things, in my opinion. Instead of drafting Jamar Chase, I would have drafted a young tackle like Penny Sewell to protect Joe Burrow, especially after coming off of the season-ending ACL injury last year. But, they have Jonah Williams there and Riley Reef as tackles. Not bad. Defensively, they added Trey Hendrickson, but they lost Carl Lawson, so I think it's a little bit of a downgrade, but Hendrickson's a fine player. Safeties are really good. Von Bell, Jesse Bates. They added Chidobe Awuzie. They got him from the Cowboys this offseason, so they got a little upgrade at cornerback this year. Low expectations. I don't think there'll be a really good defense. I don't think there'll be a great offense. You can look at Joe Burrow and say, okay, he has weapons with Boyd, Higgins, Chase. I don't think Chase is going to be that great this year. He's had some drop issues in the preseason. He hasn't played in a year. He's really, has to catch up to speed. I like T. Higgins a lot. I think T. Higgins is a breakout candidate. I think he's going to be Burrow's #1 target this year. I do like Joe Mixon. He's a workhorse, but we'll see how the offensive line holds up.
Yep, I agree with you, especially with the T. Higgins point you made. I think T. Higgins is a stud. I think he's going to have a good year. Biggest thing I look for with this team is just Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow just has to take that step forward. I know he had a huge setback. Hurting your knee like that is obviously so significant for anyone in any sport. So, I look for him to take a step forward. I think his rookie year before he got hurt, I don't know if you agree with me, he looked solid. He wasn't bad. I think he was actually a pretty decent quarterback he did better than I would have expected as a rookie. And
he looked like a rookie. He had his
he had his
up,
good.
he
He
had his
wasn't
down.
bad. He was good.
No, he did. He didn't he wouldn't say bust looking back
no.
at his no.
You can't call bust. Yeah, no. And listen, but the division's tough. I don't expect them to obviously win it. I don't expect them to get the wild card. I just look for Joe Burrow to take that step forward. I like him as a quarterback, so hopefully he does. And, they'll have those high draft picks next year, and they'll just keep building with this young team. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely low expectations. And, I don't know what it means for Zach Taylor. I don't know if you move on for him. I don't know what they're going to do
It's
there.
hard because it's not like he has a lot. Like, he knows he's not winning this division.
Yeah, they're
but
going to finish last in the division. If they somehow finish third, they had a great year. They had a great year.
If they win 6 to 7 games, good year.
Yeah, no, and like I said, low expectations. They'll finish around the same 4-5 wins. It's gonna be a tough year. They're totally rebuilding.
I'll be impressed. I'll be impressed if they win a division game. I'll be like, wow, they beat the Steelers. Wow, they beat the Browns. They beat the Ravens. That'd be impressive. I don't see it happening, but that'd be impressive.
Yeah, they crushed the Steelers last year with, I don't even remember who was their quarterback. Ryan Finley, I think. I think it was Ryan Finley.
Brandon Allen was one.
Yeah, I think it was Ryan Finley. Absolutely torched the Steelers on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But yeah, low expectations for the Bengals. Let's go to the AFC West now. Started off with the conference champions from last year, Kansas City Chiefs. They were 14-2 in the regular season. High expectations again. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost the Super Bowl last year because their offensive line, the Bucks just kept coming at Mahomes. He was all over the field, and now they rebuilt that offensive line. They got Orlando Brown in there. They drafted Creed Humphrey. They drafted
Trey Smith.
They drafted Wyatt Davis. They drafted so many young, promising offensive line prospects, and obviously they have Patrick Mahomes. They have Tyreek Hill. They lost Sammy Watkins. Not a big loss. They have Mecole Hardman there.
No Lev Bell. He's gone.
Yeah, but Le'Veon Bell wasn't really a big.
I'm just saying. I'm like he's a guy. Like he's someone they lost.
He hated his team there. Like he hated his time there. He said he'll never play for Andy Reid again.
Lev Bell is I don't understand him. I don't. Ever since he held out with the Steelers, I get he wanted his money. He thought he deserved the money. But dude, he was bad with the Jets. I don't know if you could blame it all on him. It was probably Adam Gase in his play calling, but he's bad on the Chiefs. I don't understand how you go from a top running back in the NFL to that. It's just
he took a year off.
Man, it was horrible,
and he hasn't been able to get back up to speed. He was a great running back, and off the field stuff and money played a big factor in his career and what he was able to, how he's going out. He's not signed now. I would imagine a team ends up giving him a shot at some point this season, especially a team that loses a running back and has playoff hopes and stuff like that. But yeah,
but
they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that's
Good
That'll be
running back,
fine.
great run, yeah, and
And they also have Jet McKinnon and Darrell Williams, and you
um,
know,
yeah, for me, obviously Chiefs Super Bowl aspirations, just because you have arguably the best quarterback in the game, Patrick Mahomes. He's an absolute tank. Biggest questions I have for the Chiefs though are Sammy Watkins was nothing crazy, but I look to see who's going to be their number two receiver. Obviously Tyreek Hill, but most people think it's going to be Mecole Hardman, but Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson are there. They could compete for that number two spot. The defense, on the other hand, I it's good, but it's nothing to blow me away. Like I know
no,
they have Frank Clark, Chris Jones, solid on the D line.
yeah,
But the secondary, I look at it, some of those names, okay, nothing crazy. I think they're going to be
Tyrann
middle of the
Matthews is the
pack.
best safety in
They're
the league.
who?
Tyrann
Oh,
Matthew, Honey
Tyrann. Yeah,
Badger.
yeah, yeah. I know. But what I'm saying is, I think when I look at this defense, it reminds me of kind of like the Packers, middle of the pack, and just the offense is going to carry them to victory. That's what I see.
Yeah, dude, I have Super Bowl expectations for them, very high expectations. They have Patrick Mahomes. When you have an elite quarterback like him, that talent in that offense, they're gonna put up points. So you just hope your defense can, hold the team to less than whatever your offense puts up. So, the offense is gonna be putting up a lot of points, and the defense has to be really bad, which it's not. It's not a bad defense. It's an average defense, maybe below average defense, but they're gonna win a lot of games this year. I don't know how many exactly. We'll look into that on our next episode when we get into our predictions. But high expectations once again for the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe they make it 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, which only Tom Brady has done, and only a few franchises have been able to do in NFL history. So we'll see. Let's go on the team. Finished second place last year in the division, the Las Vegas Raiders. They were 8-8. Another 8-8 season for the Raiders. I feel like they've been 8-8 ever since John Gruden's come back, and John Gruden is on the hot seat. I really think he's on the hot seat. He really needs to make the playoffs this year, and their offense is solid. They really want to run the ball this year. They kind of shied away from it last year, and not that Derek Carr had a bad season, but they really want to be ground and pound team. Defensively, they have a lot of young players. Defensively, a lot of no name players, but Jonathan Abram is a promising safety for them. Max Crosby is a promising edge rusher for them. They have Carl Nassib there, Yannick Ngakoue they signed in free agency. So the defensive front is pretty solid. Their secondary for me is a little bit of a concern. Offensively, I think they're going to be solid. They drafted Alex Leatherwood in the first round, which was a surprise to most because a lot of people thought he would get drafted in the second round.
I was watching film on him this morning, and he looks good in preseason. He's got long
Yeah,
arms, and he's been able to keep those guys away. And what's his name from NFL Network? Brian Baldinger, is that his name?
yeah.
Yeah, he was doing film on the guy, and he always analyzes the O line, and
Mhm.
he was talking about how Leatherwood looks really good. So we'll see how he does. Because
Yeah,
I mean, when they took him, there was like the most stunning pick in the first round,
yeah,
possibly.
I was stunned, but you know what? I think I told you, like, I love when teams take the guy that they want because they want him. Like Alex
Even if
Leatherwood,
it's early.
dude, they wanted him. They didn't want to lose him. They didn't have a pick coming up. I'm sure they looked into trading back a little bit, but they couldn't get the deal done. They're like, screw it, we're taking Alex Leatherwood. It might be earlier than when people think, but this is the guy that we want because he fits what we want to do, and that's run the ball. That's why I really like Josh Jacobs this year, his third year. I think they're really going to run the ball a lot, and that Josh Jacobs is very good. But I also like Kenyon Drake, who they brought in, and I think he's going to get a decent amount of touches this year, and they're going to have a really effective backfield. Wide receivers, they're weak. They have high hopes for Henry Ruggs, but they have also, a sleeper in Brian Edwards. I know you like him as a sleeper
Yep,
this year. They have a
definitely.
good slot guy in Hunter Renfrow. Obviously, they have one of the best tight ends in the league in Darren Waller. Derek Carr's a very solid quarterback. He's nothing special, Derek Carr, but he's a very, very good quarterback.
Yep. And when you look at the defense, very young secondary with Trayvon Moehrig. Jonathan Abrams got to take the step. Trayvon Mullins got to take the step. It's not a bad team. It obviously the defense is what everybody's looking at as because they're
Yeah.
coming in ranked so low, and it's another tough division because the Chargers are getting better. Chiefs are
Mhm.
still what they are. The Denver's good.
No.
So Raiders, dude, you're right. Is Gruden on the hot seat? Maybe, maybe not. But they have to take that step forward, and they actually have every year gotten better. So they haven't gotten worse with Gruden. So last year was actually their best year. They were 8-8. Can they go? I guess it would be 9-8, right? Nine
Yeah,
and
but
eight.
their problem has been that it's either they got off to a cold start and then heated up too late, or they got off to a hot start and collapsed.
Yeah.
So
They
they
had that
haven't.
good game against the Chiefs last year. They put up a fight, and
Yeah,
then the freaking last 2 minutes of the game, Mahomes took them down the field like nothing. So it just shows the defense is what needed the most work.
and really they should have been 7-9 last year if Greg Williams didn't, send the house on a fourth and forever and on the 50-yard line and put Lamar Jackson on single coverage on Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, now
Uh,
Lamar Jackson's cut. So
He's on the
yeah.
practice squad.
Oh, he is in the practice squad because I saw he
Yeah,
got cut. I didn't know they
yeah,
kept him there.
yeah, yeah. Not the MVP Lamar Jackson, the undrafted cornerback that was the Jets' #2 last year, Lamar Jackson, out of Nebraska. But
But
yeah,
yeah, just to wrap up the Raiders for me, expectations. They're very, I have kind of a fandom towards the Raiders. Always like them, so I want to see them make the playoffs. They're obviously not going to win the division. Can they make the wild card? Maybe, but they got to take a step forward. They
yeah,
have to
I
take a
have
step
I
forward.
have high expectations for the Raiders because they need to. I have high expectations for them. Like I expect them to make the playoffs because they need to get back in there for the sake of John Gruden's job. And I think the players will rally around him. I think the players really respect him as a coach.
They'd be
And
fun. They'd be fun to watch in the playoffs too, because we know the Raiders fan base is one of the best in the NFL. So that'd be a fun game. I know they're probably not going to get a home game if they do, but it'd be fun to see them in the playoffs.
yeah, but this is also the first year they're gonna have fans in their new stadium in Vegas.
It's a beautiful stadium too.
Yep, the Death Star.
Yeah, that's sick.
All right, third place finisher last year, Chargers. They fired Anthony Lynn after the season after they finished 7-9. They actually ended the season on a 4-game winning streak. And if you guys were listening to our podcast last year, I was a big fan of Anthony Lynn. I didn't think the Chargers should have let him go, but they did. They brought in Brandon Staley. He was the Rams defensive coordinator, so they're really going to focus defensively this year. Obviously, they had they took the third quarterback in the draft last year in Justin Herbert, and he ended up being the best one in the draft class. Potentially going forward, he might be the best in the draft class for their careers compared to Tua and Burrow. We see how the next 10, 15, 20 years play out. We don't know. But last year he was definitely the best. He got offensive rookie of the year. Good offense. You got Keenan Allen. You got Mike Williams. He has a good running game in Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, Joshua Kelly. They're going to be a good offense. I expect them to run the ball more this year, play more ground and pound style football. They're going to be more defensive oriented with their new head coach. And that's okay because I like their defense. They got Derwin James back there. He's going to lead them. Obviously they got Joey Bosa. He's a beast. But I don't think they're going to be, one of the best teams in the AFC this year. But I do have, high expectations for them in year 2 of Justin Herbert just because of how well he played last year. So high expectations for the Chargers this year. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they, finish around where they did last year just due to, first-year head coach. So we'll see.
Yep, you make a lot of good points about that, but I really like the Chargers this year. We know what Keenan Allen is. I like Mike Williams, good draft pick, and Rashawn Slater getting that guy on the offensive line. Herbert looked really good last year. Like you said, running game's going to be solid. I like the defense. They have Chris Harris now, Asante Samuel Jr. they took in the draft. This is a good team. My expectation is a wild card for this team. I think they could do it. I think they're actually slightly better than the Raiders. So I look for good things out of the Chargers. This is going to be an exciting team to watch. I think they're going to be fun football.
Playoff expectations.
Yep.
LA is going to be really all California is going to be they all have good football teams. Chargers, Rams, Niners. But yeah, like you said, Rashawn Slater was great getting him on the offensive line. They also signed Brian Beluga. They drafted, like you said, Asante Samuel Jr. They got Kenneth Murray from last year. He's a second-year guy, linebacker. Jerry Terry, Linville Joseph up front. They're going to be a good team. Like you said, playoff expectations. High expectations. But first-year head coach, it's always a little bit of surprise. So don't really know. And last team in the AFC West to touch up on is the Denver Broncos. They finished last year, 5-11. Vic Fangio kept his job. A lot of people were thinking that he might get let go, but he's been good defensively, and that's what they brought him in there for. Their offense the last few years has been an issue ever since Peyton Manning retired. They haven't figured out the quarterback position. This year they brought in Teddy Bridgewater. They got him for a late, I think sixth round pick from the Panthers. He ended up beating out Drew Lock in preseason to win the starting job this year. So the Broncos go into this season with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. I think that's the right decision. He's a veteran quarterback. I like Teddy Bridgewater. He's nothing special, but he's a solid quarterback, and they have a lot of weapons offensively, like a lot of weapons. Jerry Jeudy. I think he's going to be a breakout wide receiver this year. In year 2, they got Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. Running back is very good, and Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, who they took from North Carolina this year. Offensive line is solid. Defense, obviously, very good. Great secondary: Kyle Fuller, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, and Ronald Darby. Bradley Chubb was one of the best edge rushers in the league. And that'll be enough to, hold just those guys listed. All the other guys would obviously, they have Von Miller there. Great edge duo, maybe the best in the NFL. But
Drafted Surtain.
Yeah, they drafted Patrick Surtain. They have Bryce Callahan there. They're a really solid defense, really, probably top 10 defense. If their offense is, solid, if maybe they can get a lot out of Noah Fant, who's, he's had a lot of potential. He hasn't been able to really put together a full season of, good football. He's had a lot of injuries, but he has high expectations this year. I like them. I have it's a tough division, but they have high expectations this year because, like similar situation to the Raiders, they have their head coach on the hot seat, so they have to win. High expectations.
Yeah, you couldn't say it better, man. I mean, I'm looking at them on paper, man. That defense is scary. The defense is scary. This team, I'm be honest with you, I got wild card expectations for this team. I don't think they're passing the Chiefs, but they're going to be fighting with the Chargers. They're going to be fighting with the Raiders. All these division games are going to be really fun to watch. It's now that I think about it, AFC North, AFC West, probably two best divisions right here. It's gonna be fun. If Teddy Bridgewater can keep, because he's obviously the starter, he's been named it. If he can keep them in the games, and that defense holds up like they should, they definitely could win some football games here. So wild card is definitely possible for this team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, AFC West pretty loaded. AFC North loaded. Now let's go into the AFC East. We're going to start off with the reigning division champs, Buffalo Bills. They were 13-3 last year, and a really great season for the Bills. Josh Allen was second in MVP voting last year. He really broke out and took that next step, and now he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. He got a big contract this offseason. They locked him up long term. They have high expectations again. I'm just gonna say that I think they're a little overhyped, a little overrated. I know you really like them, but I don't know. I'm not biased at all when it comes to this. I just think that they just are just overrated. But high expectations, like they have expectations to win the division again.
You just won't say it. You just won't say it. They're Super Bowl. They can win the Super Bowl also. I have Super Bowl expectations for the Bills. If Josh Allen does what he did last year, that's good enough right there. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, I know you don't think they're nothing special.
They can't run the ball. They haven't been able to run the ball.
And they're going to have to run the ball. Their receivers, I have no problem with the receivers. Cole Beasley's reliable. We know what Diggs is, one of the best in the game. Emmanuel Sanders was a good signing. I really like Gabriel Davis. Looking at the defense, they drafted Gregory Rousseau. Matt Milano's a solid linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds, Tre'Davious White's got to take a better, he has to have a better year, bounce back. They have Micah Hyde. Dude, it's a good team. Ed Oliver in the middle.
Yeah, no,
I like this team. I really do. They're Super Bowl.
They're a good team. I just think that, they're not as good as people think. I think they could be exposed. Part of it is because they just can't run the ball. Josh Allen in the postseason last year was their leading rusher. That's not a good thing. You have to be able to control the clock, and a lot of that is running the ball. The best teams in the NFL, like you said, run the ball, right?
Yeah, but they do. They were in the AFC Championship. I can't deny what they did last year. They were able to do it without running it.
Because Josh Allen was able to do it through the air. Can he do that again? That's to be determined. I mean, he's very good. Like, he's obviously, like, the potential was there when they took him. They knew he was going to be a project, and it paid off. The experiment on taking him was a great one, and he's really, like, he's become a top 5 quarterback. He's very good, but they need to run the ball. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. They brought in Matt Breida. I can see Matt Breida getting a lot of carries because he's had success with the 49ers. I don't know. If they can't run the ball, effectively this year. I can't see them going to the Super Bowl, but they do have Super Bowl expectations because they were one game away from it last year. They have pretty much the same team. They brought in guys like Rousseau from Miami. So, yeah, high expectations for the Bills, but I just feel like they are a little overrated.
All right.
All right, let's go with Miami Dolphins. They finished second in the division last year, 10-6. Obviously, Tua didn't look great last year. They took him 5th overall. Many were thinking that they were going to trade for Watson in the offseason, but then as Watson's allegations kept getting more and more and worse and worse, those trade talks pretty much stalled, and they're confident we're going in with Tua this year as their starting QB in year 2. Hopefully he can make a better jump because he did struggle a little bit last year, but he's looked pretty good in preseason. They drafted his his former teammate at Alabama, Jalen Waddle, in the 1st round. He has pretty solid. He has good weapons. Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller suspended at the beginning of the season, but he'll be back. Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki, Adam Shaheen. But obviously the Dolphins' biggest, most effective part of their team is their defense, and their defense is really solid, especially their secondary with Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Jason McCourty. They drafted Javon Holland out of Oregon this year. They also signed guys like Justin Coleman and Landon Roberts. I'm not really a big fan of their front seven. Their secondary is very, very good. But I don't know. I think the Dolphins pretty much outperformed their expectations last year. I can't really see them going back to where they were last year, having around 10 wins again this year. But they do have high expectations just because they were a game out of making the postseason last year.
Yep. Listen, I like the Dolphins. I like Brian Flores. I think he's a good coach. I think they'll take a step forward this year. I don't think they'll take a step backwards. You got Jalen Waddle. I really like Mike Gesicki at the tight end. I thought last year he was actually going to break out, but I think this year maybe he could. Tua's got to take a step forward. He's got to prove that first round pick was the right pick for them. And I like Myles Gaskin. I like their running back group. Obviously, you already talked about the defense. It's a solid defense. It's definitely it has the potential to be top 10 defense. It does. They division expectations. I don't think they win the division. I think the Bills and the Patriots are probably still slightly better than them. But this team could make a wild card push. I could see it. If things go right for them and they win those upset games, I know they've actually, they played the Patriots pretty well. If they could play the Bills well, win those games against the Jets, this team could definitely, fight for a wild card spot. It's just the AFC is so tough. It's so tough. The NFC, if they were in the NFC, I'd say they have a much easier shot, but the AFC is just so tough. But
AFC is loaded.
They got to push for that wild card. Dolphins, I think, will take a step forward, though. I do like the Dolphins.
Playoff expectations for the Dolphins. All right. 3rd place finisher last year was a weird year for the Patriots. Obviously, year 1 without Tom Brady. They had Cam Newton in there last year. Cam Newton is released. They drafted Mac Jones in the 1st round. He is QB1 there in New England. A lot of people are thinking he's the next Brady. That is to be determined. I don't know if anyone can ever do what he did in New England, but we'll see. He has he's entering in a really good spot. They spent the most money in free agency, bringing in guys like Matt Judon, Henry Anderson on defense. They got Kyle Van Noy back from Miami after he was surprisingly released by the Dolphins. Obviously, their secondary is really, really solid with J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore, even though Gilmore is going to be out for the first first month and a half of the season. Offensive line is solid. They brought in 2 really good tight ends in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Wide receivers, they were really weak there last year. They brought in guys like Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, veterans who can fill in the gap. And, they got young guys like Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry who, could, break through this year for them, but haven't yet.
Dude, I'm pretty sure didn't something happen with N'Keal Harry?
Yeah, he requested a trade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I knew something happened. Dude, he's on IR. He's gonna miss the first few weeks. He's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah, he's
That guy. He's looking like a huge bust. I mean, he's like, dude, they drafted him with the 1st round pick. He's terrible.
And Bill Belichick, historically, isn't a good drafter, which is crazy to think because the Patriots are, the best, dynasty of all time. But most of his key additions have come through waiver pickups and not even free agency, just taking guys off of other guys' teams and making them
Yeah, and you
Patriots.
know what? Whatever works. I mean, he's
Dude, I'm not gonna
obviously
question it, but
no,
it's just
he's the best coach of all time in my opinion. So I'm
yeah.
not gonna question it. I'll talk a little bit about the Patriots here. I like Jacoby Myers. I think he's actually gonna be their wide receiver one. I know Nelson Aguilar they brought in. People probably think it'll be him. I don't think so. They got a good offensive line. Signing Jonas Smith and Hunter Henry was really good. But and also the running backs. I think this is gonna be a good running group. I love Damian Harris. They got Ramondre Stevenson, the rookie. James White's always a reliable. He's like, you can call him all reliable. James White's going to catch those check downs from Mac Jones. He's going to be the check down guy again, like the show is called. And then you look at the defense, really good defense. Dude, this team has division expectations. They can win this division. I agree with you. I know you're going to go over and say that. It's going to be big. What can Mac Jones do in his rookie year? I'm excited to see what he could do. He's probably one of the most
Yep.
exciting rookies to look at because we don't know if Trey Lance is going to play. We don't know if Justin Fields is going to play. So let's see what Mac Jones can do.
They're all playing. They're all
dude, this
playing.
AFC East is the youngest quarterback division,
Yeah,
dude.
they're all under 25. 25
Crazy.
and younger.
It's crazy. It's gonna be
Yep.
fun. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing the Patriots play. It's gonna be good.
Historically, teams who spend the most in the offseason always do really well first year. And then after that, because they usually overspend, usually after the first year, those contracts never work out. But historically, teams who spend the most in the offseason do really well first year. But they have guys like Dante Hightower coming back. He opted out last year because of COVID. They're going to be really good. They have division expectations. They're a really good defense. They have like conference championship expectations in my opinion because of how good their defense is going to be, and I think Mac Jones is going to be a really solid quarterback. I don't think he's going to be like anything elite like Mahomes or Rodgers talent, but I think he's just going to be very dude. You can compare him to Tom Brady by the way like their style. They're very pocket passers. They're very accurate. They make good decisions. They make the right reads. So it's insane, dude. I really hope that Mac Jones isn't the next Tom Brady, or else the Jets are screwed for the next 20 years again.
I want to say this for anybody who hasn't done their fantasy drafts: draft Jacoby Myers. I'm telling you right now, draft Jacoby Myers. He's gonna be the guy, dude.
He could be. But if you're doing Madden drafts, take Kendrick Bourne because that guy is.
Yeah, Kendrick Bourne. Yeah, Larry and I, for anybody who doesn't know, we did our first.
Who would
Madden
know?
franchise.
Who would know? We did this at 1 a.m. last night.
No. This was the first one we did like a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
Kendrick Bourne's ridiculous if you sim on Madden, so you want him on your team.
Yeah.
You could probably get him for a 7th round pick if you want to trade.
All right.
Your team. Let's wrap it up here.
All right, let's wrap it up. We'll just talk about the Jets really quickly here. They were 2-14 last year. 2 of their wins were against 2 playoff teams, the Browns and the Rams, and both of those teams won playoff games. You tell me how that works out. They got rid of Adam Gase, brought in Robert Saleh.
Gase.
They had 2 first-round picks this year. They got Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker. They drafted other guys like Michael Carter, running back, North Carolina. They drafted very young corners with a lot of potential later in the draft. Brandon Eichels made the team. Jason Pinnock made the team. Michael Carter the second. They drafted 2 Michael Carters. They just like Michael Carters, bro. They're waiting for the next Michael Carter to get into the NFL and they'll snag him. But yeah, the Jets, they're very young, very, very young. They're really, they're rebuilding and they're rebuilding the right way. They obviously moved on from Sam Darnold. They brought Zach Wilson in. Zach Wilson looks very promising. Everyone's really excited about him. It's just preseason, so we gotta lower the expectations and see what he does. Against well, first off, the Panthers week 1. But he's gonna have his up and down. He's gonna be a rookie quarterback. He's gonna look really good. He's gonna look bad. He's gonna make mistakes. But I think they got a good one in Zach Wilson. I have a really good feeling that about him, and I really do think that he is definitely an upgrade over Sam Darnold. He just looks way better. He just looks way better compared to when Darnold came in. But their defense is very young. They got Robert Saleh there. They added Carl Lawson, big free agent signing. They lost him in a joint practice. He tore his Achilles, so that's a devastating loss. He looked like he was bound to get 20+ sacks this year, like the way he was looking in preseason. But when you bring in Robert Saleh, you bring in Mike LaFleur, you bring in guys that have really good coaching experience with really good teams. They've both been in Super Bowls. They both, the way that they talk in their press conferences are just, they have a really good feel for the Jets, and they have a really good vision for this team, and the future looks really bright. Expectations, low expectations. I mean, they were the second worst team in the NFL last year. They won 2 games. They are the youngest team in the NFL this year. They're going to have growing pains. It's low expectations. Could they surprise people? Yeah, they definitely could surprise people. I think Zach Wilson has a really good shot at winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's a lot better than people think. They drafted Elijah Moore in the second round. He looks like a steal. He could be one of the best wide receivers in the division, honestly, after Stephon Diggs. They have Corey Davis that they signed. They got him from Tennessee. He's their wide receiver 1. They have Jamison Crowder. He's reliable. They might look to trade him and get something middle of the season, depending on where they are, which most likely won't be in the playoff hunt. They have Denzel Mims, second-year guy. They're a really young, exciting team. Like I don't have high expectations for them this year. I think they could surprise a lot of people and win more games. They're on over/under this year is for 5. That sounds about right. They won 2 games last year. They're definitely better than last year. They're definitely headed in the right direction, but low expectations for the Jets this year.
Yeah. The first few weeks for me for the Jets is really going to be a feeling out process. I guess you could agree with me on that. Like I could see all 4 of these running backs seeing looks. They're going to work in a lot of receivers from Mims to Berrios to Moore to Cole, Crowder, Davis. All of them are going to get looks. The defense is a big question mark for me. I know you're not too confident in the secondary. It's a young secondary, and they're going to have to go. I mean, when I look at their schedule, you got Carolina. I mean, Carolina is nothing crazy, but you're going to have to verse DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be tough. Then you got New England, Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks, always trouble. Then you got Denver. I mean, that secondary is ridiculous, and that defense
In Denver, too. And Denver in September is
yeah.
really
And
difficult to
then
win.
and then you got Tennessee, so that's gonna be another Julio and AJ Brown and Derrick Henry. So it's a tough start. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really tough for the Jets, and it's gonna be a feeling out process. My ceiling on the Jets, if everything goes right for them, is 7 wins.
Yeah. Yeah, that's reasonable. I think really their season is going to be determined by week 1. Like if they get embarrassed by Sam Darnold in Carolina week 1, there's no way that they're going to come back home and beat Bill Belichick, and there's no way they're going to be able to go to Denver and beat them, and then they're going to have to beat Tennessee. It could be a rough start for the Jets. If they win week 1 though, okay, now they're very confident. They just beat Sam Darnold. They're off. They're 1-0. Robert Saleh. Now we're back home. A lot of high energy, motivation to go beat Bill Belichick, and they're facing a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones. And Robert Saleh's a very good defensive coordinator. Now he's head coach. I'm sure he has a big influence over there with Jeff Ulbrich, who's the defensive coordinator. This is Robert Saleh's system, which has been a great system since he's been in the league. But yeah, I'm excited. They have guys like Hamsah Nasruddin and Jamin Sherwood who are going to start for them as linebackers, as rookies that they took late in the draft, but they really like. They have CJ Mosley coming back from opting out last year. Quinnen Williams, I hope he can break out and be one of the elite defensive tackles in the league. John Franklin Myers, he's a breakout candidate off the edge. Sheldon Rankins, they got from the Saints. He's had injury issues, but he's a very good defensive tackle running a 4-3. Quinnen Williams and Sheldon Rankins. That's going to be really good. They just traded for Shaq Lawson after losing Carl Lawson. Shaq Lawson, he's been solid in the NFL, nothing great, but he's a former first-round pick. They got him for a 6th-round pick, so see what they can get out of him. They have guys like Bryce Huff, who was undrafted last year, made the 53-man roster last year. Now he might be starting at edge this year for them. So, dude, I'm really excited about these guys. I'm more excited about seeing how they look. I hope that these young guys, they show the potential that, Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are seeing in them. But I'm really confident in them. They're doing this the right way. They're building the offensive line. They're building the defense. They're drafting young guys. They're not doing anything. They're not making unreasonable signings. They're doing this the right way. I really trust Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Whatever they do, I'm going to get behind.
Listen, all in all, we love doing this podcast. We love talking sports. So we just hope that the Giants and the Jets have a good year. That's all we hope for. That's all we want. If the Giants and the Jets are doing good, it makes the podcast even more fun to talk about. So we'll see what happens. If they both make the playoffs, that would be absolutely amazing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Calm down. Don't get my hopes up. Dude,
my hopes up are always up. My hopes are always up. So,
dude,
but that
you know how it was when the Giants and Jets played Week 1 preseason. Freaking Bryce Huff sacked Mike Glennon, and I was freaking out. I was all hyped, dude.
but I just, dude, it's like preseason is nothing like regular season football. I can't wait for next week. We are less than a week away from Dallas and Tampa, so I can't wait.
Yep, can't wait, dude. Next Thursday kicks off. So thanks for tuning in. Please, if you haven't yet, just please like and subscribe this video if you're watching on YouTube. And we really would like to hear your feedback. Drop a comment below if you're on YouTube again. But next week we got a couple episodes coming again. We're gonna give you our predictions. We're gonna go through our division winners, our futures, like who we think is gonna be MVP, Rookie of the Year, everything. We're gonna go through all our predictions for this upcoming season, which starts next Thursday. And then after that, we're gonna have an episode next Thursday going over Week 1 preview. We're gonna give you our picks and analysis for every game for Week 1, and that's what it's gonna be like for here on out. After once the season starts, we're gonna give you 2 episodes a week. We're gonna give you a recap after this week, and then we're gonna give you a preview before the week. So we're really excited, but we just wanted to give you guys a preview of the NFL season. Gave you AFC, gave you NFC. Check out our fantasy episode if you haven't drafted yet. And thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.